Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek Kill Team Battle Report. I am Phil, the Glacial Geek, coming to you here from Casa Daniel, where we are about to face off in the new Kill Team, brand new 40k Kill Team between my Space Marines and Neil's Necrons. So the story that we've got going on here is that this was an orc world that the Marines had been purging, but it turns out that it was also happened to be a tomb world, and the Necrons started to awaken and were rising up and coming forth, and the Space Marines knew that they had to try to stop this tide of living metal before they were going to be overrun. So they sent in their operatives to go handle this situation. So this is going to be, we are going to be playing the Escalating Hostilities mission, which is from the basic core rulebook. Essentially, there are six objectives on the table here. And you have to try to, you score 1 VP at the end of each turning point, which is a turn, if you control an objective. Up to a max of 4 for turning points 1 and 2, and then on turning points 3 and 4, you score 2 VP for holding each of them. Because what happens is at the end of the at the initiative step of the second and the third turning points, you choose one of the objectives that's closest to your drop zone, and it's removed. So by the turning point 3 and turning point 4, there will only be the 2 objectives in the middle that you can score from. So that's going to be the main mission. We've also chosen our secondary missions based upon what our kill team have. I chose Seek and Destroy. Which one did you choose? Which one was it?
I chose Infiltration.
Infiltration on those. So that we're going to be... Basically what happens is you have the primary mission that you're scoring points off of. Then you score victory points in your secondaries on the cards. What you do is you create a deck of 6 cards based upon what your specific fire teams can do. So they're all allocated certain ones. So I think I had Security and Seek and Destroy. So I could choose 6 cards. I could choose one of those 2 and choose the 6 cards from that particular deck. So I had to choose Seek and Destroy, had to choose the 6 from Seek and Destroy when I chose that. You can add faction-specific ones, which they don't have any of them in the compendium book. So these actual units won't. These kill teams won't. I think if you took the ones from the Octarius kill team box, so if you had either the veteran guardsmen, so that would be the Krieg, or if you had the Ork commandos, because veteran guardsmen and commandos are 2 separate kill teams. They're not just Ork kill teams, and they're not guardsmen kill teams. There's specific ones for those. They have specific secondary objectives that you can choose for their faction. And I imagine they're going to be coming out because they've talked about that they're going to have releases coming out, I think, every quarter or so that are going to have additional rules that are going to come out for different factions. So I imagine that we will be getting some more of them as they go on. So you could take some of those faction-specific ones if you had and put them into your deck. So you would have a maximum of 6 cards in your deck. You then shuffle them up and you draw 2 cards. You choose one of those secondaries to that you want to accomplish, and one of them gets discarded. You do this, you draw 2 cards again from that deck, choose one, discard one, and then choose the last 2, choose one, discard one. Essentially, you get an idea of what you're looking to do, but you can't specifically just choose the top 3 that you want. Because so say you choose Seek and Destroy, and there were 2 secondary objectives in there that you felt like you could really accomplish and you were going to be doing good at. You can't just choose them, because there's a possibility that those 2 could end up in that first draw that you have, or the second draw and together, and then you can only choose one of them. You can't choose both of them. So it makes it good, so you can start to see what you can do, because you choose them after you know the mission, after you know the deployment zone that you're going to have. So you have an idea of how the game's going to go. You see your opponent, what they're probably going to have, and you can have an idea of what you want to do. So you can choose which one you think you're going to be able to do better. You just won't be able to do it. You just don't get to choose entirely on your own. Sort of like, so it's not entirely like on 9th edition 40k where you choose your secondaries. You can choose between different options. So still pretty cool. It'll be fun. Most of them have ways of scoring either 1 point or 2 points, depending upon achieving certain things. Then they're revealed at different points in the game. So one of the things that you do during the different turning points is you have a target reveal step where you reveal secondary objectives that you're trying to accomplish. And each of them will tell you each of the cards will tell you when to reveal it. So some of them are during that, some of them are when you accomplish certain things. You just get to figure out from there. So we've chosen R3, which are kept secret until they're either revealed or they're accomplished. So we'll see how those go. So that is the mission. That is the story. Before we go any further, let's show you the 2 kill teams that are going to be fighting it out. So for the Space Marines, I'll be running 1 fire team consisting of 1 Assault Intercessor Sergeant and 4 Assault Intercessor Warriors. For the Necrons, he'll be running 2 fire teams, 1 consisting of an immortal leader and 3 other immortals, and 1 consisting of 5 flayed ones. All right, going over deployment now. I've got my guys kind of all along a line over here. That's going to be my leader. He's a Salt Marine Sergeant. I've got 2 other guys over here and my 5th one over on this side. Essentially, you see those markers behind them. When you deploy your units, at the first time, you have to put an engagement marker on them. Or you have 2 different options. You can give conceal or engage. So you have these ones that I've put all on my guys. They're all conceal. What that does is there's 2 things that it does. One is it does limit the kind of actions that you can do. So I'm not allowed to shoot. I'm not allowed to charge. I'm not allowed to do a lot of aggressive things with my actions. But the benefit that I get from that is if my opponent is trying to shoot me and my unit is in cover or receiving the benefit of cover, then I am treated as untargetable. So you cannot draw a line of sight to it, to a unit that has the conceal marker if it is receiving the benefit of cover. So, for instance, say my guy was up behind that barricade over here. I'd be receiving the benefit of cover, and my opponent would not be able to draw a line of sight to me, even if they could see me otherwise. That's the benefit of that. But at the same time, I can't shoot back with my actions because I chose to have them in conceal. Going over deployment now for the Necrons. He's got his 3 of his flayed ones back over here, all of them with the conceal. He's got an immortal warrior here, an immortal warrior up here, both of them having engage markers. We then have the immortal leader and the regular another immortal warrior, both with engage. And then down under here, we've got 2 more flayed ones, each with the conceal marker on them. So that is going to be the deployment here. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go into the scouting stage. So we've each got a die with the number on it, and what we're going to do is we're going to reveal it at the same time. This will do two things. There's 3 options you can choose. You can either fortify, you can infiltrate, or you can do recon. If you fortify, it allows you to deploy an additional barricade, which just basically helps you with cover. If you choose infiltrate, it will allow you to basically change the activation token that you have when you activate that one of the models during your activation. Or you can choose recon, which will allow you to do a free dash maneuver with a unit that is in your wholly within your deployment zone. So we are now going to reveal that. 2, 3. Okay, we both chose 3. We both chose recon here. So what happens here is usually this way it determines the first player to go, who will have initiative going into first turn, is if one of us chose fortify and one of us chose infiltrate, whoever chose fortify would go first. If one of us chose infiltrate, one of us chose recon, whoever chose infiltrate would go first. And if either of us, one of us had chosen recon and one of us had chosen fortify, then whoever chose recon would go first. So it's rock, paper, scissors to see who would go first. But if both players select the same, the attacker decides who has initiative. So that is, Neil's going to be the attacker. So would you like to go first, or would you like me to? Yes, he would. So it will be to the Necrons first here. So basically what's going to happen is once we have the first turn, we will then start going into the different stages of a turning point. Necrons? All right, so now we are into the strategy phase. So the first one is you do initiative phase, where you would roll to see who has initiative. But because of the way first turn works in match play, we determined who was doing it during our during the scouting phase. So now we are into the strategy phase. This is the point where you generate a CP. So each of us will generate a CP. Because we both have leaders, we both started with 2 and then gained an additional 1 during this. So we both have 3 right now. Now you can play your strategic ploys. There are specific ones that are dictated in your faction booklet that will determine what strategic ploys you can do. So there's 2 different ways. So they're basically stratagems. So there's strategic ploys and there's tactical ploys. Tactical ploys can be used basically whenever you want during the game, and certain things will come up. So one of the ones that's universal, for instance, is you can reroll an attack or a defense dice for 1 CP. So that's what it is. So basically, the tactical reroll, strategic reroll is a tactical ploy. Strategic ploys are more overarching things. So for instance, I can have one where each of my units, for 1 CP, I spend it in my strategic play, do it at the beginning here during this point in the turning point. It would allow me, if I haven't made an attack move, I can perform 2 shooting moves with bolt weapons, or I can have it where I can fight twice. Different things that'll happen. He has Implacable March, where if you have an engaged token, his Necron models can add an additional circle to their movement, and it limits which other actions they can do. So it varies as you go along what you can do, and you decide at this point if you're going to spend any of them. I'm not going to spend any at this point, and neither is my opponent, because we're just too far away to really make them worth using at this point. So then we get to the target reveal point of the turning point. And this is where you reveal any secondaries that need to be revealed or that you want to reveal. So some of them will say reveal at the target reveal step of any turning point. Some of them will say at the first turning point. Some of them will say when a certain thing's activated, but that's completely separate from this. So I actually have a secondary that needs to be revealed here at the first turning point. So essentially, focus. Why are you not focusing? Come on, focus over here. Essentially, what this says is reveal this tack op at the target reveal step of the first turning point. Select 1 friendly operative and one enemy operative and 1 friendly operative. If the enemy operative is incapacitated by this friendly operative, you score 1 VP. If you achieve this condition while the enemy is within red pentagon of that friendly operative, you score an additional VP. So you can mostly score maximum 2 VP from these secondary objectives. So I chose my sergeant, and then I chose one of his flayed ones over here, because I feel like we're both going to be getting in each other's grill, trying to kill each other there. So that's what I had to reveal here. So now my opponent knows what one of my tactical ploys is, and I mean it's called a challenge. So it's basically he's bellowing across the battlefield that he wants to fight it out. So that's what we'll do here. So that's going to be the end of the strategy phase. Then we're going to enter into the firefight phase, where each of these models is going to be activated. So we'll come back to you with the first activation for the Necrons. So the first unit that my opponent's going to activate is going to be this guy up on top there. He is going to fire his weapon into my guy. Range is unlimited on weapons unless it's specified otherwise. So for instance, all of my pistols here are range red pentagon, which is 6 inches. But everything else is unlimited range across here. So he's going to have the range here. It's coming across through here. The line that he can draw, you draw it from the head of the model that's shooting to any point on the enemy model. If it would cross into if it would cross obscuring terrain, which are the big pieces are going to be heavy, they're going to be obscuring here. He would be unable to get it. So if he was looking through underneath the gantries here, he would not be able to draw a line of sight to me unless I was within circle, so within 2 inches of the piece of terrain. Also, if I was within 1 inch of a piece of cover, I would gain the cover benefit from that. And if I had the conceal on here, I would be untargetable, except for the fact that he is up on a fire point up on top there, which means that he can actually turn that from, he treats me as being engaged as opposed to conceal for the purposes of shooting me. So regardless, he is going to be able to shoot into my sergeant here. So he's using the Starfire core, which is a piece of equipment that he gave to him, to his guy there. He is going to be rolling 4 dice for this, looking for 3-ups on his regular guy there. So he gets 2 hits. That's going to be 2 hits there. And then I have 3 dice for my defense characteristic, looking for 3-up. I get all 3 of them, including 1/6, which is a crit. So these will cancel those out, and nothing happens to me there. So that would be his first activation for this guy. He flips it over. He does have, I think, 2 APL, but he decided not to move. He wanted to keep him where he was, so he just went with that. We actually made a mistake here. We actually were supposed to do our dash beforehand during the scouting phase. So I dashed up this guy, and my opponent dashed up this guy over here. So that's good to go. During my activation, I moved this guy up over here into a place where I felt like he was on the objective and just being in a good place for positioning himself behind this obscuring piece of terrain. So that's going to be my activation. All right, so now my opponent's going to activate his other Immortal Warrior over on this side. He's going to fire into my guy. So because he's more than a triangle away from this piece of terrain, he's not getting the benefit of cover from it, and it doesn't actually go over this. So my opponent roll is 4, looking for 3s, getting 2 hits there. And now I will be looking for 3s, getting all 3 here. So I will ignore that again. I'm now going to activate this guy. He has a total of 3 circles that he can operate, which is going to be 1 of the red here. So he's going to move up to here. And then that's his regular move action. And then I'm going to do a dash action, which is a blue movement, and get him over to here so that he is within range to get cover from that. And that will be his activation. So now his Immortal Warrior over here is going to activate. He's also got the Starfire Core. All of his regular Immortal Warriors have the Starfire Core. He's going to fire into my guy over here. So he has the Conceal activation token, which normally, if he's getting the benefit of cover, which he is, he would be unable to be targeted. But because he's on a raised level up here, he treats him as having the engaged token, making him targetable because he's only receiving the benefit of cover. I'll still get the benefit of cover, but I am now targetable because he's on a raised position, a firing point. So he gets to roll now. He's looking for 3s on these. Oh, okay, yes. So he gets 1 crit and 1 success. Starfire Core allows that to become a success. So he's going to have 2 regular successes, and he's going to have 1 critical success. So I've got the benefit of cover over here. I am going to retain. It allows me to retain 1 of my dice as a normal success. So I'm going to retain 1 of my dice as a normal success, which will cancel out 1 of his successes. And now we do the 2 dice here. I'm basically looking for a crit and a success in order to ignore all of this damage. No, I only get 1 regular. So these 2 will be canceled out, but he does get a critical success in, which does, what's the damage on the critical success? Because each of the weapons have different things that happen during crits. 4 So 4 or 5. So he does 5 damage to me. I have 13 wounds there, so that knocks me down to 8 wounds. I'm now going to activate my sergeant over here. He is going to move up to here and then dash up to here so that he can get the benefit of this obscuring terrain over here. All right, so now his leader is going to fire into my wounded guy back over here. So he's going to have, he's looking for 2s on his shots here. All right, so it's going to be 3 hits, including 1 critical success there. So I'm going to retain the 1 success from for me right there, and then I roll 2 dice, 3 pluses, getting a fill face and a 3+ here. So that means I get to ignore all of those, and he is fine. Woo! I activated this guy, moving him onto the objective over here. My opponent's going to activate 1 of his flayed ones over here to get onto the objective over there. This guy's going to activate, just staying on the objective back over here. This guy over here did his move and then a dash onto the objective and getting into cover. All right, so that is going to be it. That's going to be, what happens is now I've activated all of my guys. There is another action that I can do, and I can do it. I can activate, each of my models can activate it, is doing an Overwatch action. It costs 0 AP because we've already gone through our AP from activating our guys. And now what happens is I can with the 0 AP, what happens is I can actually shoot with a -1 to my ballistic skill if I wanted to, and each model can only do it once. What happens is it alternates back to me because I've run out of activations to make on my team. But all of my weapons are all range red pentagon, so I cannot actually overwatch with anybody here. So we're going to keep activating my opponent's team. My opponent activated his guy here, who moved and then dashed up to the side over here. All right, I wanted to see if I could overwatch over here, but he is just out of range because my pistols have a range of this marker and is just out of range of him, so I cannot shoot him. And I think his over here is also, oh, I guess his is just in, but it would cross over here. And I cannot target him because he has the conceal and is getting the benefit of cover. My opponent then activated his flayed one here, moving him up to this point. All right, so my sergeant now is going to activate his overwatch firing into this guy because I can draw a line between them. He's within range, and I can draw a line between them that does not cross over the cover here. So I am going to fire. So what happens is when you fire overwatch, you hit on one less. So for instance, I'm shooting this plasma pistol, which you usually hit on 3s. Now it's going to hit on 4 pluses. I am going to supercharge it, which will then turn it into, it has range of the red pentagon, which we're in range. And then it also has AP2, which means it reduces my opponent's defense by that number by 2. So his defense is usually 3. Will now only have a defense of 1, so we roll 1 dice for defense. And then it has hot, which means that for every 1 I roll, I suffer 3 mortal wounds. So it can get pretty brutal if I roll a lot of 1s. Let's find out what happens here. So I've got 4 dice here, looking for 4s to hit. All right, so no 1s and just 1 crit success. So now my opponent has his 1 dice that he will have for defense, looking for a crit, otherwise it's going to go through. Does get the crit there. Makes the save. He is good to go. Killer. And then my opponent activated his last model and just moved up and dashed around the corner over here. And that is going to be the end of the turning point here. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset and get ready for turning point number 2. All right, so at the end of the turn here, we flipped over all of the activation tokens back over here. We did score primary. You score at the beginning, at the end of each of these turns. You score at the end of the first 2 turning points. You score 1 VP for each objective that you hold. I hold 3 objectives, so I scored 3 points. My opponent holds 1 objective, so he scored 1 point, and neither of us scored any of our secondaries. So that is where we leave there. We then go to the initiative step of turning point number 2. We will roll a d6. Tie goes to the person who didn't go first, so I won that. I got a 5 versus 2, so I will have initiative here. Now we choose an objective that is one of the 2 closest that are from our deployment zones, and then that gets removed going forward. So I'm going to choose this one to go away. Which one would you like to choose to go away? My opponent's going to choose that one to go away. Sounds good. So that's it for the initiative step. We will now gain CP up to 4 each here, and then we will come back to you with the strategic stage. That's what the gain to CP is the first step of. All right, so we're not going to do any of the strategic ploys. We're going to hold it there. So we're both at 4 CP right now, sitting pretty the way we are. So I'm going to start off here because I have the initiative in the firefight step to activate my sergeant. He has 3 APL, 3 things that he can do. So the first thing he's going to do is going to be shoot into this guy. Once again, I'm going to supercharge the plasma pistol, shoot it into this guy over here. So we now have 4 shots here, hitting on 3s now because it's an actual shooting attack. All right, just getting the 1 hit, regular hit. My opponent only has 1 defense dice here. Looking for a, what is it, 3-up?
Yep.
All right, looking for a 3-up. On your defense?
Yeah.
Yep. No. Gonna spend the CP to re-roll that.
4 down to 3. Here we go.
That does go with a 3. He's good to go. All right, so now he is going to charge. So he can move this plus a blue to get into engagement range, and he will. He'll go over to here. And then I'm going to spend my last APL to attack. All right, so now what happens is we now will both roll our attacking dice. So I'm going with my chainsword, and my opponent's going with his rending claws. So I have 5 attacks looking for 2+, And my opponent has 5 attacks looking for 3+. So I got 4 attacks, 2 criticals, 2 regular. My opponent, you're looking for 3s, right?
Yeah.
So these would not be hits. So he's got these 2 hits. These are regular hits. So now what happens is we go back and forth between my attacks and his attacks, and we allocate each of these attacks. So I'm going to allocate a critical attack into you as a, not as a parry, as a regular strike into you over there. So actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna allocate a regular one to parry one of yours. So now you can allocate that one as an attack into me or to parry one of my attacks.
I just have to parry your attack.
You're going to try to parry my attack here. So he's going to try to parry my attack here. So now I've got the 2 crits that will still go through, and they'll hit him for, let me check the damage. All right, so looking at it, these are going to be doing 10 damage, which will kill him outright. So we're going to do a little revert back, and what he's going to do is, one of his success that he got to choose, he's actually just going to do damage to me, which will do 3 damage to me, leaving me with 11 wounds left. But he is going to be dead. My opponent is then going to spend 1 CP on reanimation protocol, which means that he can... we put a marker down there where he's at, and what happens is that the ready step of the next turning point, he can roll on a 3+. He'll come back and he places him as close as he can to where that marker was, and he will have, I think it was a certain number of wounds. We'll look into how many wounds he has, but he can come back basically and just reanimates, and he'll be able to then go from there. But if he doesn't get the 3+, he's just gone for good there.
You got marked for death.
So, but I got both of mine, so that means that I will actually score 2 points here, because if that enemy operative is incapacitated by that friendly operative, you score 1 VP. And if you achieve the first condition while that enemy operative is within red pentagon, you score, friendly operative, you score 1 VP. So I scored 2 VP for having taken him out over there. All right, so now my opponent's operative up here is going to activate. He is going to shoot into my sergeant over here. I do get the benefit of cover. And because I don't have conceal, I'm not hidden, but he was above me anyway, so he'd be fine. But he's going to have the benefit of cover here. So now my opponent is going to attack with his Starfire Core here. So he's going to have 4 shots, looking for 3s to hit. Okay, so that's going to be 3 hits. I'm going to accept 1 as a success because of cover, and then I have 2 more looking for 3+. Getting both of them, so those will mean 0 damage to me. So now I'm going to activate this guy. I measured out, he can actually get around over here and charge into this guy over here. And then now that I'm in an activation range, I'm going to fight him. All right, so here we go with the fights. I'm going to be rolling 5s, looking for 3s because he's a regular guy instead of the sergeant. Okay, so I got 1 crit and 3 regular. My opponent's looking for 3s, so he's going to have 5 regular, which is pretty good. So now we start activating them back and forth. Oof, that is going to be brutal. All right, I'm going to choose 1 to parry one of yours over here. And then you get to choose 1.
I'm going to hurt you.
You're going to hurt me. All right, sounds good with that one. So that's going to be doing 3 damage to me. So he's down to 10 at this point. I'm going to... Sure, I'm going to hurt you here too. So that's going to do 5 damage to you there.
I have 4 left.
He's got 4 left. And then... Gonna do damage to me again?
Yep, I'm gonna hurt you again.
Okay, so it takes me down to 7, and I should have just done this right off the bat, because that will incapacitate you.
Yep.
So that will be incapacitated. My opponent already spent the CP on reanimation protocol, so he can't do it a second time. So he is down. So this guy over here is now going to activate. He did a regular move, and now he is going to fire into my sergeant. So Starfire Core once again, looking for 3s. So he just gets 1 regular hit, which you've already spent your CP reroll, I think, this phase. Remember in the beginning? Yeah, so I'm going to just take the 1 from cover that I can do, and I'll be fine. So I don't have to roll. This guy over here activated. He was the one that was back over behind this barricade. He activated, just moved and dashed, ended up over there. This guy back there is going to activate, fire into my guy over here. So I will get the benefit of cover once again, but here comes the Starfire shots hitting on 3s.
Yet to get one of those.
So that is going to be 4 hits there. So let's see what I can prevent here. So I'm going to take 1 regular save because I've got the benefit of cover there. And then Oh, double one, so I only get to ignore one of these. What's the damage on these? A regular, not a
4/5.
4/5. So that's going to do 12 damage. He is just straight up incapacitated. And then this guy's going to activate over here, just shuffling around a bit to get blocked from the obscuring over there to this guy. So he's going to stay there and activate. This guy over here is now, his leader did activated. He moved, and now he's going to fire into my guy. Oh, into this guy over here.
Yeah.
So he's going to fire into this guy over here. So he's going to have looking for 2s. That is going to be 1 crit.
Yes.
And 2 regular.
But he doesn't have Starfire.
He doesn't have the Starfire core, so I'm going to take 1 regular and then look for 2 more successes. Let's see what we can do. Do get a crit and a success, so that will cancel them out. Woo! All right, so I'm going to activate this guy over here. He's just going to pass and hold on to that objective over there. My opponent activated his guy over here, letting him dash onto the objective over there. Now this guy over here is going to activate an Overwatch shoot into his leader up here. I'm going to have 4 attacks, looking for 4s to hit because it's -1 from what it would usually hit because it's an Overwatch shot. These are piercing 1, which means that P1, so crits will minus from his defense. So looking for 4 pluses. Getting 1 regular, so no 4 pluses. So now you have 3 defense dice. And he's good with that 5, and that 3, I guess, would have taken away, so he's fine. My opponent's going to activate that guy. He is going to charge into me over here, and then he's going to make an attack. All right, so here we go. We're going to have, both of us are going to have 5 attacks here. You're looking for 3s. I'm looking for 2s. Okay, that's going to be all hits, but I've got all regular hits. And you've got all 1s. So now you start off. What do you want to do? Hurt for 3. I'm going to hurt for 1 second. Yep, for 4. So that his 3 is going to leave me on 9, and this will leave him on 5. And then you attack 1.
Hurt.
All right, and I'm also going to hurt you. So that's going to leave you with 1, leave me with 6, and then
hurt.
And then I will hurt, which will incapacitate him. So then I'm taking 9 damage to me over here, leaving me down to 2.
Okay.
All right, so now it's my turn to Overwatch, and I'm actually just going to do a regular shot. I'm not going to supercharge because that would hurt me too much. I'm not going to do it. So he is going to Overwatch into him over here. So I'm going to have 4 shots here, looking for 4s to hit instead of 3s to hit. Okay, getting 2 crits and a regular hit. Good thing I didn't supercharge over there. So now you get to do yours over here. No. Oh, -1. So you have 2 dice that you get to roll.
Okay.
Yeah. Getting 1 crit and 1 regular, right? That was a crit and a regular, right?
Yeah.
So the crit will be able to cancel out one of my crits. The regular will kill regular, and then you will take 5 or 6 damage. 1 second. It will do 6 damage to him, so he's down to 3 over there. All right, my opponent's going to activate his guy there and go into me. He is wounded, but so am I. So now we are locked in combat over here in this charge, and then he's going to spend his APL to attack me. All right, so here we go. I'm looking for 4s to hit. My opponent has that, but all he has to do is allocate, because now it's his turn to allocate. He allocates to me with a crit. Allocate your crit. And now I'm dead. So now I'm taken out of combat. All right, and that's going to be the last activation of this turning point. So we will reset and get ready. Scoring, I control 2 objectives, getting me 2 points. My opponent controls 1 objective, scoring him 1 point. Then we'll come back to you with the initiative step. All right, so into turning point 3, we now have the initiative step. Find out who's going to go first. I rolled a 5, so I still retain initiative. If it was a tie, it would go to my opponent, but because I won the die roll, I will be going first. So now what we do is we can now figure something out. So at this point, he will roll on a 3+. His guy comes back. Does not. So he is gone. I can't re-roll that. It's not one of the ones you can re-roll. So he's going to be gone. He already turned over there. But living metal, you will get to heal back up to 5. And then we each gain a CP back over here. So we'll come back to you with the strategic phase. All right, so during the strategic ploy stage, I'm going to spend 1 CP on shock assault, which will allow my guys to do 2 fight actions if they do not shoot when they're activated. I will also reveal route as one during the target reveal step. Essentially, if I incapacitate an enemy operative within pentagon of his deployment zone, I score a VP, and if I do it in an additional turn later, so if I do it in turn 4, I will be able to score an additional point. So at the end of this, the initiative step here, we actually removed these 2 tokens there, so these are no longer active out there. So there's just the 2 that are in the middle, scoring 2 points each at this point. So that's going to be it for the strategic stage. We are now going to move into the firefight stage. All right, so my first activation is going to be this guy who is going to move up, and he is going to attack into his leader up here, charge, and then he's going to fight. So we'll now roll the dice. I have 5 dice looking for 3s. So I get a crit and 2 successes. You hit on 2s in close combat with the bayonets? 1 second. All right, so he does hit on 2s as his immortal leader over there. So now we're going to allocate things. So I go first. I'm going to allocate my crit as a damage there, doing 5 damage to you, knocking you down to, what is it, 4?
He's 11.
He's 11?
Yeah.
So that's going to knock you down to 6.
6.
And then would you like to activate to me?
4 from 1, 7.
And then you can activate 1 here. So do you want to activate your crit, or you want to try to... Yep, you're going to activate a crit. So he's going to activate that crit, which will do 4 damage to me, knocking me down to 4. I will then activate do that damage to you, which will do 4 damage, knocking you down to 2. He's going to do damage to me, which will do 3 to me. So that's going to be doing a total of 7, leaving me with 1. And then this will do damage to you, taking you out of action.
Yep, and I can't retaliate.
My opponent's going to spend 1 CP on Reanimation Protocol, and I am going to reveal now Headhunter, which is reveal this TAC op when an enemy leader operative is incapacitated. You score 1 VP. If it was the first or second turning point, I would have scored an additional 1, but I don't, so I just score the 1 VP for that. It also allows me to score an enemy operative is incapacitated, a friendly operative. By a friendly operative within this, I score a VP. So I will score a VP for that. So I scored 2 VP for that kill. My opponent's now going to activate his guy up here, who's going to shoot into my operative down over here. I do get cover, and I am concealed still, technically, but he's at a higher point, so he can actually make him basically engage. So he will be able to hit. I will still get the benefit of cover again, but he can shoot me. So looking for 3s. Okay, so he's going to get a crit, and then 4 hits there.
And then I get to... It didn't matter.
Yeah. I'm just going to roll because I'm going to be looking for crits. I want to try to get a crit here. So I'm looking for 3 pluses on these. Getting a crit, which will ignore the crit, and then 1 regular, so you'll get 3 regular. What's the damage on those? Regular
4,
ones?
5.
4, 5, so it's doing 4. No, so you would have done 12 damage, leaving me with 1 wound left because I think it's 13 base. All right, so then I activated my guy over here. He is going to attack into this guy. He charged over here, so I am... -1. So because I'm wounded, because I'm down to 1 wound left, so that's less than half of my wounds, I actually have 1 less movement circle. So I'm going to have 2 movement circles, but still able enough to get into combat over here. And now I'm going to be -1 to my weapon skill. So I'm actually going to be looking for, I've got 5 attacks here that are going to be looking for 4s to hit. Okay, wow, pretty good. So I got 2 crits, 2 4s. That 3 becomes a miss. You got 3 crits, real good. So,
and Randy, that's just regular now.
Randy becomes a regular hit. So basically, but what's going to happen here is I'm just going to allocate a crit, which I believe is 1 second. Let me find out how much damage again. Yeah, that crit does 5 damage to him, which incapacitates him immediately. All right, so now he's going to activate his immortal down over there, who's going to fire into my guy over here, who does get the benefit of cover, but he's not in hidden, so he's not going to be able to do that. Hitting on 3s for regular guy, so that's going to be 2 regular. So I'm going to take the 1 regular save, and then from the cover, and get in these, so he will be fine. All right, then my last operative is going to activate, and he is going to charge into his guy over here. I'm going to have 5 attacks. These are going to be hitting on 3s. My opponent is also looking for 3s, right?
Yep, so I'm going to take 1 of these and convert it.
Okay. So I'm going to have 3 regular, and you're going to have 1 crit. So what are you doing? You're doing 3 damage. Well, 1 second. All right, so my opponent is going to be doing 4 damage for every crit and 3 damage for every regular. I'm going to be doing 4 damage for my regular one. So we're going to start out by me activating 4 damage to you, sir. Do the crit for 4 damage to me. 4 damage to you, sir. 3 damage to me. And 4 damage, you are you are incapacitated. All right, so now this guy is going to be the last one to activate. He's going to shoot into my dude bro over here. So you're going to hit on 3s. So that's going to be 3 regular hits. I've got 3 up saves here. No cover, so I don't get to retain any of these. Managed to make all of them, including a crit. He's alive. Woo!
+5.
All right, so at the end of the turn, I will score 2 points for holding this objective over here. My opponent scores none for holding any of them. So we will now wipe them. They're all ready to go. And we will now roll initiative on the 4th and final turning point. My opponent rolled a 6, so he will... I mean, I shouldn't have even rolled because you would have had the tie to go first. So my opponent will activate first. So are we going to activate any ploys? We'll figure that out. All right, so now we're going to find out if his leader can come back over here. On a 3+. No, he's not coming back. This guy over here is now going to activate. So we're not going to do any of the strategic ploys. So we're on to the firefight step of the 4th turning point. My opponent's going to activate this guy first, and he's going to shoot into my guy over here.
I get to reroll 1s at once.
Oh yeah, my opponent spent 1 CP on Relentless Onslaught, which will allow him to reroll 1 of his dice. So you can reroll 1 of those dice.
Do that.
All right, so that's going to be 3 regular hits. I've got 3 looking for 3 ups. Make them all, so I'm good to go. All right, so I'm going to activate this guy here now. Essentially, he's injured, so he wouldn't be able to make the charge with the injured because it removes one of your, when you're injured, it removes one of your circles from your movement. But I'm going to spend 1 CP on the and they shall know no fear, which means I ignore any or all modifiers to my APL, which are my action points, and then I can also am not injured. So if I'm not injured, it means that I can make my full move, which is enough to get me into combat over here. So I am now going to attack into him over there with my 5 attacks. Looking for 3s. So I got a crit, and I got 3 regular ones. So my first allocation is actually going to be the crit to parry your crit. And then I'm going to do 3 for 4 damage apiece, doing 12 damage, incapacitate him. So because I killed another unit within this of his deployment zone, that's actually in his deployment zone, in a subsequent turning point, I score an additional VP. His guy up here is now going to activate, shoot into my guy down over there. Not going to get any cover here, so he's going to have his, 4 shots or 3 shots? What is it? Your 5 shots? How many shots do you get on these? 5? Yeah, 1 second. All right, so he's got 4 attacks here. These are going to come in here looking for 3s to hit. So it's going to be 1 regular hit. I now have 3. I don't have cover. You get to re-roll 1 of those in the hit phase. Yes, because of your Relentless Onslaught. He's within range there. Doesn't matter there. So then I'm going to have 3 attacks. Not in cover, so I have to get 1. Ooh, and I did get the 1. So I will ignore that, and I will be fine. Now I'm going to activate this guy down here. He's going to shoot into his guy down below there with the bolt pistol. He is wounded, so he's going to be hitting on 4s, but he gets 4 shots to try to do it. So these 2 actually reduce your defense by 1 each, because it's P1.
So I have 1 left?
Yes, so you got 1 left for your defense. Does make it, but that doesn't get to cancel out any of my crits here. So that's going to be doing 8 damage total to him, but I think he's still alive.
Yeah.
All right, so then his guy's going to activate into me over here. He is going to be 1 less attack because he is wounded, so he's going to be hitting on 4s.
Reroll!
Reroll 1 because of Relentless Onslaught. Nope, so that's going to be 1 hit there. I've got 3 defense dice, and I make them plenty there to successfully pass. And my last guy is going to activate. He had to move and then dash to get into position to shoot the guy down over there. So he's going to fire at him with this heavy bolt pistol, looking for 4s to hit. That is going to be 3 hits, no crits, so you get your full 3 dice to defend. Failing on 1 of them, so that will do 3 damage to him, which is enough to incapacitate him. And that will be the end of turning point 4, which is the end of the game here. I did score additional 2 points for there. At the end of it, I did have a total of 14 points. My opponent had a total of 2 points. I think it was just a matter of I just got into his face fast enough to keep him from being able to get it. My opponent's secondaries, he just wasn't able to accomplish them based upon, I think it was because I was so fast out of my zone and getting around, and it kept guys together over here. I wasn't able to get it. So my opponent was close to getting it, but I was too close for him to be able to get some of his stuff there. So, but yeah, it was a ton of fun. I like this. It felt like, obviously we're still learning. Obviously we're still trying to figure it out, but it feels like, it really does feel like we're going to be able to get the hang of this and be able to make it go faster once we know what we're doing. So once we're not looking at the scores or the book every 3 seconds to figure out what we have to do, I think I could see this becoming super fun. I think a lot of fun. So yes, so I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always. My opponent has been Neil, and until next time, stay safe and have fun.